Hi everybody, Jamie here. Today I'm sharing with you this 8.5 by 11 layout of this doggy. This is my boyfriend's dog. She's, I don't know, like 14 now. She's a Shih Tzu Cross Maltese and she's just so adorable. She loves sitting on paper. Anyway, I should get to actually what I'm doing. So I'm going to do a bit of mixed media because I don't ever do pattern paper background. This is the second time I've ever used a pattern paper background. So I grab out this circle stencil from Craft and I thought the circles would just be a little bit too contrasting with the straps of the background paper. I'm grabbing out a bit of purple Montmartre paint and some gesso. The gesso is also Montmartre. Like I said, I am on a budget when I'm coming to scrapping, so I don't have a lot of money, so if I can get some cheap art supplies, I'm going to buy them. So I'm just going to use my palette knife to grab out a bit of gesso, and then I'm going to put a little bit of paint on there. I used the stencil to begin with, but I didn't like the effect that I got from it. I used a beauty blender as a sponge to kind of dab it on there, and I've used it with other stencils before and it works really well, but this stencil, it just didn't work. So I ended up scratching it. So I was just picking the position of the photo because I hadn't done that yet, and I'm going to just go straight in. I'm dabbing off a bit of the excess paint on the side, as you can see, because you want a limited amount of paint when you're doing stencils, especially if it's a thin stencil. This Craft one is actually quite thick, so it doesn't matter, but if you're using thin stencils, you want no paint whatsoever. So I'm just going to go straight onto there with the little dabbing sponge. This took me forever. I think it took me about 10-15 minutes of dabbing to get it to where I wanted the paint to go. I probably wouldn't do this again. I really love doing just the squishing the paint all the way down the side, but I wasn't happy with how it was going, so I've just dabbed it on there. You know, you got to try new techniques, and now you guys know. Probably not a good technique. It was a good arm workout though, I will say that. I felt like my muscles were getting stronger by the end of it. I cut out a lot of it from the video because, like I said, it did take me 15 minutes to do that. Then I'm going to put some gold mist spray, just some sputters everywhere. That's, I think, a Studio Calico brand. I got it from Spotlight for like $2. It was just a bargain. And it's not very big. I'm already about halfway through it and I've probably only had it for 2 months. I use it on pretty much every layout that I do though. So I'm just going to pop that over the side to dry. The paint that I use does dry incredibly quickly, and especially because it's such a thin layer, it's going to dry even quickly. So I'm just putting it over to the side and I'm not even going to dry it. I'm just sticking the photos together because I really like the look of having one big giant photo. I really want to do a layout where I stick a whole bunch of photos as like a giant photo strip. I think it would look really cool and kind of, I don't know, vintagey kind of. So I'm going to stick some tissue paper on the back because I wanted sort of a softer element, because the black strapped pattern paper is so harsh and that mixed media background is also really harsh. I tried to soften it out on the edges and you can see that in certain places, but it's not really showing that much on camera. So I thought I'd use a bit of tissue paper to give a really soft element. I was thinking about using a doily, but the doilies I have just don't look delicate enough, I think. So I really want to buy those ones that Inky Coolies, I think they're called Cambridge, but the only time I see them, it's like 1,000 of them, and I just can't invest in 1,000 doilies. So I'm just going to cut that out with my pair of scissors. This is the second bit of tissue paper. I hate this tissue paper. It just doesn't want to stick, but you know, and nothing's ever fallen off. It's just really hard to get the backing paper off of the double-sided tape. The double-sided tape that I use is from Kmart. It is really good quality. I've never had a problem with it, and I've been using it now for about 2 years, and the layouts that I used to begin with, they still stick, and I was using even less tape than I am now. So when you're gluing something down onto mixed media, you really want to use some wet glue. It makes it so much easier for it to stick, and it definitely doesn't come off. So I'm still just sticking it down, and I'm going to grab some pattern paper. So this is dry now. I touched it with my fingers. It's completely dry. The ink wasn't dry, but the paint was completely dry. So I've just grabbed these 2 pieces of paper out, and I really wanted a ripped edge down the bottom of this flower one. So I'm going to stick that one directly down. I really like this paper. It's really pretty. I think it'd be really nice to make a card with, potentially. I've never made cards before. I've made a few Christmas cards just as like Christmas craft, but I've never made a just standard card. Sorry. So here I am just sticking down those 2, and I wasn't entirely happy with the whole thing. So I do use actually a bit of the leftover paper from when I cut down the pattern paper background. So I'm going to grab that in a minute. And so here I am doing the ripped edge. It was really fiddly because the photo was so long. And ripping. I'm still just ripping away. I really need to figure out if I want to cut out while I'm doing layering. I think it's good to watch people layer because you sort of see the technique that they use. I'm cutting off the edges here because I didn't want to use the whole sheet of paper because I thought that would be a complete waste of the sheet of paper. So I'm cutting off the edges because all I really want is that little bit of black to poke out just on the side because the 2 sheets of paper were not long enough to cover the whole thing. I really do actually quite like doing this. I've done this before with washi tape as well. I've just covered a little strip of paper with washi tape and stuck it on the end because some of my washi tapes I find really hard to use just as general washi tape, but using them as like faux pattern paper, it's really not great. Let me know down below if you'd like to sort of see how I do this with layering and also with other things. This one here, I left a little bit of the white on the edge, but you know, when you look at it from a distance, you can't tell. I can only tell because I know it's there. So I'm just sticking it down. I put a lot of double-sided tape, but I also use wet glue as well. Like I said earlier, you want to use wet glue when you're sticking onto mixed media because it's more stronger than double-sided tape. So I'm lining it up to figure out if, you know, I have enough paper layers. So I'm grabbing my glue. How do you guys like store your glue? Because all the glue I have, the top gets like dry. So I've been putting a push pin, I don't know if that's what you guys call it in America, but a push pin on the top of it, and I coated it in nail polish so it wouldn't go rusty. I mean, it's working, but you know, I kind of want a better way to store some glue. I really like the fine line bottles. They look good because I really want, the glue that I like to use is fine because I'm generally only using it for sticking onto mixed media and then sticking down like resin pieces or wood veneer pieces. So I cut out me going through that entire thing, and here I am just grabbing my alpha stickers. I saw my alpha stickers like this. It's not great, but I don't have that many, so it's fine. I used to store it in a box and kind of had them standing up, but I found that it was sort of making them fall too much and bending, so I'm using these, they're not chipboard, they're more like cardboard. And I didn't realise that I have another one of these. So I'm sitting there going, I was going to do It's My Pillow, not yours. Sort of It's My Pillow and then It's Not Yours in like a teeny tiny font. But that wasn't working. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking in the background. She's a bit of a rude one. She likes to bark a lot. So I ended up settling on Pillow Time. So I start off by covering them in purple paint, which then I realised that's blending in too much. So I'm just showing you quickly how I do that. I'm just using the Beauty Blender again just to stick it down. This took me a while as well, more because I had to do it twice. So I put that on there and then I go, it was just blending in too much, I thought. So here I'm using a black paint marker, and I got this off eBay. It was $1, and for what I'm using for, it works. It goes over paint beautifully. So I do it in black, and I've already stuck this down. I've cut that out because it did take a while just to sort of cover them all and then glue them all down. This layout took me forever, and for me this is kind of a simple layout, but it took me forever, and I was really annoyed at how long it took me. The video I think that I filmed was almost an hour, and I think I've cut it down pretty well. I found these stickers that I bought and I thought, oh, they would have been so much nicer, but oh well, I've already stuck down the layout. They can just be used for other things now. These stickers are just from the Reject store. I thought stars would be better because, you know, she's sleeping on a pillow. So I do just fandandle, that's a good word. I do just move these around a lot trying to figure out how I want it. I don't think I end up using half of the embellishments that I grabbed out. I just wasn't feeling it. This layout's okay. It's not my most favourite layout, but not every layout can be our most favourite layout. I haven't really done a layout lately where I've been like, this is just amazing. But I'm still happy with how this one turned out. It's purple. I think I'm still really uncomfortable with working with pattern paper backgrounds, but I'm trying to push myself to, you know, go outside of my comfort zone and try some new things. So I'm just making a tag. Well, I'm not making the tag. I'm putting some twine into the tag so that it looks a lot nicer. I like putting twine or something through tags. Just, I think it looks empty when they're not, but each to their own. If you like that look, you know, that's your thing, that's all good. So I'm going to stick this down with some glue, and around straight on top of it. I do use some double-sided tape to stick the tag down because the tag was actually on the photo, and I don't really like wet glue on photos. So I put this little one here where I think it says you're the world, or you make the world better, something like that. I can't remember what it says exactly. It's a bit hard to see right now. My wrist was hurting a lot this day, so I just gave myself a little quick massage. Push on, you got to finish it. I can't finish the layout. If I leave it and walk away and I come back, I can't finish it. I have to do it straight away. So I'm using these teeny tiny little epoxy stars to add on top of the mixed media. It blends in, but it looks really nice texturally. And I'm adding a bit of wood veneer. I love wood veneer. Wood veneer is my most favorite embellishment. If I had to choose between any embellishment ever, I would choose wood veneer for sure. So I'm using this little bit of washi tape and I'm sticking it down there. It's just little tiny gold hearts sort of on a teeny tiny strip, and it's really quite cute. You can't really tell right now. This layout just felt like it was missing so much to me, and I kind of just stared at it for a bit and sort of tried to put so many things on there, and it was starting to get too wordy because the tag had words and the circle had words and then the title, and then this little tiny word die cut had words. It was getting very wordy, but I didn't know what else to add because it was just looking so empty to me. So I do kind of just sit there and stare at it for a bit, going, what does it need? What is it missing? And then I go, ooh, okay, I think I'll add some little arrows, some gold arrows. They're not words, they're different embellishments. So I add those on. I'm using some wet glue because, they're chipboard and I want them to stick. So here I am thinking, and I'm still thinking. I think I was staring at it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going through this little random box of embellishments that are on my desk, and I cut this vellum tag down into sort of, what's the shape called? I'm going to call it a flag. I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to call it a flag. To stick this little vellum flaggy thing down behind it, and I used wet glue. I probably should have used double-sided tape, but that doesn't matter. The wet glue still worked. I just don't like the look of it. So here's a little box of paper flowers from my stash, and I'm using a purple one and a yellow one. I actually quite like the yellow one. I think it sort of draws out the gold and the cream colours in the background. These are very thick. The ones that I have, they're tiny, but they're still very thick. So I try to be very scarce when I use these ever, so I don't use them very often because they would just make your albums super, super thick. So here I am just using a bit of, and I'm still thinking, again, because I feel like it's still missing stuff, so I just used that same double-sided tape there, and I'm not sure what I was going to do a paint line, but the paint marker that I have is just too thick and it looked terrible. You can't tell, so I'm not too bothered. These are just some tiny little gold hearts that I punched out, and I'm going to stick them down with some wet glue as well. And the thing that I realised it was missing was tiny word stickers. Once I put the tiny word stickers on, which I'm about to do right now, I think it looks a lot nicer and I'm a lot more happy with how it looks. So this is the Maggie Holmes sticker book, and I'm just using the stickers out of there. Again, sorry if you can hear the dogs. It's the middle of the day and heaps of cars keep going by, so they're not very happy. So I'm using the stickers, and yeah, like I said, it kind of drawn it together a lot better. I'm a big fan of using tiny word stickers, and this book was honestly probably the best thing I ever bought. So I'm very happy with how that thing looks. I use it all the time. It's probably one of my most favourite things that I own. So I'm doing this section of the voiceover a few hours after I did the first section. I had an exam for uni, so I've just got back now and getting to the end of it. So here is the finished layout. I will have some close-up photos at the end of the video. This goes in and out of focus a fair bit, but I hope you enjoyed this process video. Let me know down below if you did. Leave a like if you did. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye!